Hi! Today I have plans to tackle cleaning up this sewing studio space. This is where I film my crochet tutorials and write my blog posts. My husband and I kind of threw it together this winter so that I had a space to get started with, but I can see there's some things that aren't working for me. So today I think I will go ahead and tackle cleaning it up. And while I do so, I thought it would be fun to share with you my upcoming DIY and crochet projects that I have planned, as well as talking about the 7 R's of sustainability. Now, if you do or do not know about the 7 R's of sustainability, this is something I recently learned about when I was actually researching for a blog post about the 3 R's. So we know reduce, reuse, and recycle, and I was interested in learning how those applied to DIY projects. So when I was researching that, I discovered the 7 R's of sustainability, and typically these apply to the waste management stream and how we think about, disposing of our things. But I challenged myself to think about how the 7 R's of sustainability apply to DIY. So the 7 R's of sustainability are rethink, refuse, reuse, reduce, regift, repair, and recycle. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how each of those can apply to your DIY projects. I think Gordon wants to play. Hey Gordon, what do you think? My sister-in-law recently got her own apartment, so I'm going to be passing on these plants to her since we don't really have a spot for them in our place anymore. This is where I store some of our craft supplies here. Just like extra stuff around the house. We have an older house, so we don't have a ton of storage. But I have my yarn. So this is my yarn stash. This is all I own. This is it. I keep it in here. I don't like to buy yarn and store it. I just buy yarn when I have projects. So this is usually just some leftover yarn or yarn I've had for 10 plus years. So very quickly, how I'm defining the 7 R's of sustainability is rethinking means referring to how we define our consumer values. Refuse simply means saying no. Reduce means that we minimize or cut down on how much we need. Reuse means we can keep using the same item for as long as possible. Repair refers to fixing things that we already have. Regifting means that we can pass on an item to someone who can use it. And recycling refers to finding a new use for an item. This is where I store all of my sewing supplies, so my material, scrap fabrics, and all my notions. As you can see, it's got a little bit disorganized, so I need to take some time and actually go through things and see what I'm using, what I'm not using, and just generally put things away. But before I did that, I thought I would show you some of the fabrics that I have recently picked up. So to start, I have this curtain actually, and our bedroom upstairs has a lot of green and white in the decor, so I thought this was the perfect curtain for our bedroom. It's only one panel, but it's quite wide, and we have existing green curtains upstairs, so I thought I could split this in half and then add the green curtains that we already have to the front or the back, and then make it so I can kind of like flip the curtain around so that I can have the green showing, or this pattern here. And then, I can kind of like switch up if I want the darker green or this lighter color seasonally. And as well, it'll make our existing curtains a little bit thicker. So I had picked this up at a thrift store a few months ago. I searched and searched and searched to see if there was a second panel. There wasn't, but I think it can still work. And I'm excited to do that project. All right, the second piece of fabric I have here, I actually was able to pick this up for $3 at our local thrift store. I think it's a twin, like flat sheet. I'm not sure the size, but I do think it's a twin. There's a little bit of staining, which is no problem. I'm planning to make my husband a collared shirt out of this, as well as our daughter a matching dress, and that will be their Father's Day outfits. Then, so I'm working on a quilt for my husband right now, a t-shirt quilt, which I'm not sure if that video will be out before this one or after. But anyways, I've been looking for fabric to go on the back of the quilt that I didn't mind looking at. So yeah, I've been kind of searching for that a little bit over the last few months whenever I was able to get to a thrift store. I had picked this up initially to use as that quilt backing, but I've since found a different backing that I like more. But I am in a big need for some new pajamas. A lot of mine are like over 10 years. They're worn. I just need to add some more pajamas to my rotation. So this is a nice flannel. I thought that I could make a set or two out of this material. I thought this one here was a good template to use for creating a pajama set. I might modify the top a little bit, but I really like this pattern, so I'm planning to use that for that. As well, last week I found this duvet cover at a thrift store, and I just absolutely love the pattern. I was so happy when I found it. There's like birds and butterflies and tons of foliage, and I just love it so much. So anyways, I have already actually started that project. I've cut into this. This is just the scrap I have left, so I'll definitely be saving that. But I'm making the Willa dress, and I'll link that pattern below. Rosie Caldwell is a designer of that pattern, and I've been watching her on YouTube for a while, so I was so excited when she released that pattern, and yeah, I'm excited to make the dress for that. So I'll definitely show you when I'm finished making that, and I'm not going to obviously share the process of that. She has a full tutorial, but yeah, those are my upcoming sewing plans. This cedar chest I actually inherited from my grandmother. I know that they're recalled now, and that's due to this latch here. You actually can't open it from the inside, and I think there were some accidents where people have suffocated inside. I've removed the latch mechanism here, so it can't actually close. Also, this is quite full once I get it packed away properly, that I don't think anyone could fit in here, and it's in our back room that our daughter doesn't have access to. All right, let's get back to cleaning, and we can talk about the 7 R's of sustainability. The 3 ways I think we can apply rethinking to DIY projects is first to define your values. What do you want to focus on? What are your boundaries when it comes to DIY? So one of mine is always looking for materials secondhand first, and if I can't source them secondhand, then I look for the most sustainable option. The second way to apply rethink is figuring out what's important and focusing on one particular type of DIY project or a few hobbies. So for me, I focus on crochet, gardening, and sewing, and that way I can invest in tools. I don't need a lot of material. I can often reuse material and continually use my the same tools for those same hobbies. And lastly is to think before doing. I know that DIYing and crafting is fun, but sometimes we need to think about a project before we dive in. This could mean making sure you have the correct material so the project turns out and it's not wasteful, and maybe also thinking, hey, do we need this project that we're thinking about making? Will it bring value to our life, or is it going to be wasteful? Moving on to refusing. So the first way you can do this is implementing those boundaries that you have set. So for me, I don't buy certain brands of yarn, and that's one of my boundaries. Number 2 is saying no. There are some projects I won't do simply because I think they are wasteful. And lastly is letting your money speak. When you refuse to spend your money with companies or on brands whose values don't align with yours, you're essentially saying no. The third R is reduce, which I'm sure many of us are familiar with. So my first way to apply this to DIY is being mindful and making with intention. The goal with this is that you're going to make something that can be in use for a long time, and maybe this can mean we make less things in the long run. Second is reducing waste in the making process. So are we cutting our fabric out efficiently? And Can you think of a way to eliminate some material from your project? And thirdly, this is one is maybe a little bit ironic, is avoiding stashing. So as I mentioned with my yarn, that's just, leftover yarn from projects. And same with most of this fabric, it's leftover or material that has been gifted to me. The reason I don't stash, and what I mean by that is purchasing before knowing what I'm going to make with it, is that I often don't use it. So it's easier for me to first think of the project, then go and purchase materials if I need to, and then overall that leads to less waste. The next R is reuse. So my first idea was starting with a reusable base. So do we have existing decor that we don't love that perhaps we could modify or add to so that we can reuse it for the same purpose? The next idea I had was to use quality tools. So whether you're a woodworker or a knitter, you need tools to do your DIY projects. So we have good quality tools that we maintain and we repair. We can keep using them for a longer time, and we don't need to, get new ones. And lastly is reusing materials. I'm sure all of us do this, but maybe there are some projects that we didn't complete or ones that are no longer serving us. And so I'm wondering if we could reuse those materials that were used for that initial project. Moving on to repair. So my first idea for this is buying tools that can be repaired rather than buying something that can't be repaired. This means we don't need to keep buying tools and throwing them out. Instead, we can fix them. Second is repair. So what I mean by that is making sure we actually take the time to put our skills to use and repair things. Lastly is being innovative. So if we have this desire to get creative and do a DIY project, perhaps we can put that energy towards something in our home that needs to be fixed. So for example, and you might catch it in this video at some point, I have a lampshade here that is broken. My husband accidentally broke it, and instead of, throwing it out and replacing it, I've decided I'm going to actually embroider the lampshade, and while doing so, I'm actually able to add thread and repair it. The next R is regift, and I'm not sure how you feel about this. I feel like it's okay to regift. So how you can incorporate this into DIY is first modifying a gift. Is there something in your home that was gifted to you but you don't totally love, but perhaps you can put your own spin on it and give it to someone who will actually use it and love it? 2 is personalizing it. So say you received a gift, it served you or it didn't serve you, and now you're ready to pass it on. Can you add something personal to it, to the person you're giving it to? So for example, could you add some embroidery to a sweater before regifting it? And lastly, making a new gift. This creeps into the recycle category, but I'm going to stay within the gifting lane. Can you take a gift you have and turn it into something else that you can gift? So once I took secondhand baby swaddles and I transformed them into baby bibs and gave them as a gift. The final R is recycling. Number 1, upcycling. This is essentially recycling, but you're focusing on giving something without use, new use. Secondly, can you incorporate ordinary material? A wash pickle jar can be used to hold your crochet hooks. That's what I have on my desk here. And lastly, find ways to use your waste. So whatever your craft is, you likely have some waste. I save all my scrap fabric that's too small to reuse, and I actually use it as stuffing once I have a project that requires it. There you have it. I am so happy with how this turned out. I feel a little bit more organized, and that always helps me be ready to be creative again. You'll notice I removed the lights off my desk. I figured I can just throw those up when I'm doing my crochet tutorials. That's what I primarily use those for, since I need to be able to show the stitches really well. So I need good lighting for that. Thinking for sewing though, I might be okay with our natural light in here. We have quite a few windows, but I can always throw those up if needed. But yeah, I'm liking the edge of my desk open. I'm able to see the door into our dining room and our door out to our patio. So my back isn't to the door anymore. I really like that. Now my sewing stuff is is all organized, and as promised, I was gonna chat to you about my upcoming crochet projects. So let me go grab those. I do store my whips in baskets, then I can just leave them on shelves and it doesn't look like I got messy work going on, but inside is the yarn and the project. This was actually my grandma's basket. Her name was Jean, so I got this from her. So in here I have this mohair from Knitting for Olive, I believe it is. I'll link it below. And I bought these because I really wanted to make these, like, sorry, my dog is running around. I wanted to make like crocheted bucket hats that were like, look like felt and were stiff. I ended up like trying a few and I didn't love how they were looking, so I needed to pivot. Anyway, I have that yarn and I have it in the matching cotton as well. You can see that here. It's a fine weight, and here's the mohair. It's really, really pretty. And it has that halo effect. So I'm thinking with this, I'm either gonna make a granny square bucket hat with cotton yarn, but I'm also really into making bows, so I might design some for hair. I don't know, let me know which one you would like to see, but I have enough. Maybe I can make both. I had to replace my card and my camera. Anyways, where were we? I think this one here. I had this yarn, actually I ordered it on Etsy. Baby Tolly, I think is the brand. We'll also link that below, but that is the tag from it. It's 100% organic cotton. Now my friend is having a baby later this year and I really wanted to make a blanket for her baby, and I like to make blankets that are a bit smaller so they can be used easily in the car seat or the stroller, obviously under supervision. But I made one for our daughter and we use it all the time, so that's the gift I have been giving lately. Now my friends and I, actually we went to university together and we studied environmental science. I wanted to do something with fish, but I started by just like drawing a shape of a fish, and then I knew I wanted the blanket to have ripples, so I kind of was designing that and then seeing how I could make that look like a fish. Now I did do a small little swatch here, so you can kind of see the ripple effect there, and I'm going to use a bunch of different colors so you can see a fish outline. But I also wanted it to be like fish swimming in a kelp forest. So this is the start of it so far. I'm also going to add in white and this like coral color to do this coral color will be the fish, contrasted with the cream color. Anyway, so this is the start of my next baby blanket pattern. I'm hoping to gift it to her at the end of June, so I'm thinking in the next 3 to 4 weeks I should have it finished and hopefully the pattern ready to go shortly after that with a blog post and a YouTube video. So those are my 2 crochet projects that I have on the go. I'm also working on some of the sewing projects, like I mentioned. Some of those will be videos, and some of those I'll just probably post a short or post on my Instagram and show you what that is. So anyways, if you're interested in seeing more of my patterns, you can always check out my blog, madeonmail.com. I also have a full blog dedicated to environmentally considerate habits, I would say, and how they transfer into DIY projects, and how crafters can be a little bit more environmentally considerate if that is something you're interested in as well. I have a few YouTube videos posted for some of my patterns, but more of my patterns are on my blog since I only started filming YouTube earlier this year. So there you have it. My studio is all cleaned up. I'm thinking this is a good setup, but I'll just have to work in it and see how that goes. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my voiceover, sharing a little bit about the 7 R's of sustainability. If you found this video entertaining or helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could give it a like. It really helps my channel, as well as if you could subscribe or share for more videos. Thanks so much.
You want a pig?
Yeah.
Boy, you're a good boy. I think we're gonna go for a walk.
Yes. All right, I better go take Mr. Gordon for a walk, and I will catch you in my next video.